My daughter-in-law banished me to the servants' table for arriving late to her grand birthday gala, all because I stopped to help a stranded woman fix her car. She humiliated me, seating me far from my grandchildren, prioritizing her elite guests. But then, the woman from the highway walked in and turned the night upside down with a shocking announcement. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening. From the photo trembled in my weathered hands. Caleb and Lily frozen in last summer's sunlight, their gap-toothed smiles bright against the fading paper. 10 and 8 years old now. When had I last held them? My thumb traced Lily's pigtails. 3 months since Christmas. 3 months since Clara's voice on the phone. So sorry, Samuel. The kids have that stomach bug going around. But then Aaron's Instagram showed them in Aspen, building snowmen in designer jackets. The leather armchair creaked as I shifted, reaching for the cordless phone. My coffee had gone cold hours ago, lipstick still marking the rim of Martha's favorite mug. I kept using IT, pretending she might walk through the door and ask why I hadn't called the kids yet. 7:30. On a Monday evening, Aaron would be home from his IT job, probably helping with homework or watching cartoons with the kids. I pictured Lily's laugh, Caleb's serious little face when he focused on math problems. My finger hovered over speed dial, number TWO right after the house phone. Martha's number still stayed at number 1. I couldn't bring myself to delete it. The phone rang twice. Hello, Aaron's voice carried the noise of family life. Television chatter. Kids are geening, Aaron and hi, son. I cleared my throat and sat straight like he could see me. Listen. What could I get Clara for her birthday? Silence. Then Lily's voice in the background. We're not planning anything grand, Aaron said, sounding tired. Just a small dinner with the closest people. Small dinner, closest people. The words hit like stones. Right, of course, maybe flowers. I could stop by the boutique on Clark Street. I'll talk to Clara about it, he said. Maybe we'll invite you to. Maybe? Casual, like talking about the weather. Could I see the grandkids? The question slipped out. It's been so long. Lily, stop bothering your brother. He yelled away from the phone. Then back to me. Sorry, Dad. Dinner's getting cold. Clara's calling everyone to the table. Of course. I just thought. I really need to go. Thanks for calling about the gift idea. The line went dead. I held the phone until the dial tone started. Through the walls, MRS Patterson's TV game show audience cheered. I pulled out my old work notebook. The one I used back when these hands fixed engines instead of trembling over. Photos. I drew a line under yesterday's date and wrote, Clara birthday Thursday. And below that, small dinner, closest people. The calendar on the coffee table showed April 21st, circled in red. Thursday, the 24th was still blank. 3 days to figure out how to be worth including the mantelpiece. Held more photos. Lily losing her first tooth. Caleb's Little League trophy. Both kids helping Martha in the garden. I closed the album but tucked Caleb and Lily's photo into the notebook. Tomorrow, I'd think about gifts, about small gestures that might open doors. Tonight, I'd just count the hours until Thursday. Next day, dirt clung to my fingernails as I cared for tomato plants Martha once taught me to grow. Looking good, Samuel. Mr. S. Patterson called from her window. I checked the mailbox again. Just bills and flyers. Nitrogen monoxide idea for a gift. Then the phone rang. Hello, this is Samuel. Samuel, this is Clara. Her voice was all business. I'm calling about my birthday on Thursday. I scrambled for my notebook. I'm inviting you to join us. It'll be at Lakeview Manor Restaurant outside the city. 7 o'clock sharp. That's wonderful, Clara. Thank you. Dressed appropriately, she added. IT's not some casual diner. Her tone was crisp, professional. Aaron said. It would be a simple dinner, I said. This sounds, plans changed. It's a grand celebration now. Bring a substantial gift. Of course. Will Caleb and Lily be there? Yes. Don't disappoint them by showing up underdressed. The line clicked off. I stared at what I had written. Lakeview Manor, Elite, Place, 7 p.m. My old computer took 5 minutes to boot. The website showed marble columns, crystal chandeliers, Chicago's premier dining experience, appetizers. Started at $38. Private dining rooms, seated 50 guests. I sat back in the chair, staring at my notes. Small dinner, closest people. Yesterday, grand celebration, elite place. Today, my savings account, my best shirt, my pride. Would any of it be enough? I called the flower shop on Ashland. Maybe roses, maybe something grand. I circled Thursday's date again, this time in bold. As night fell, I opened the photo album once more. Lily's Christmas program 2 years ago. Her angel costume had been crooked wings slipping off one shoulder. But her smile could have lit the entire auditorium. I remembered buying a new shirt for that performance, rehearsing compliments about her singing voice. Then Clara called that December afternoon. Sorry, Samuel. Venue change. The family section is completely full now. You understand? I drove there anyway, parked across the street from Lincoln Elementary, and watched through the tall windows as my granddaughter sang Silent Night to a room full of parents and grandparents, everyone but me. Page after page in my photo album held similar memories. Caleb's baseball game last spring. Weather looks bad, Samuel. Rain would just ruin it for everyone. Then Aaron's Facebook photos showed sunny skies, Caleb sliding into home plate while grandparents cheered from the bleachers. The kitchen timer chimed. My soup was ready. I shuffled to the stove, stirring chicken noodle from a can while the radio played songs from the 70s. Martha used to hum along to these melodies while she cooked real dinners, roasts, and casseroles that filled the house with warmth. Back in my chair, I balanced the bowl on my knee and turned another album page. Last Christmas morning, the one that hurt the most, I had wrapped presents weeks early. A remote control helicopter for Caleb, art supplies for Lily, careful bows, and handwritten tags on each one. The kids woke up with fevers. Samuel, you know how the flu spreads. Maybe next week. Those presents still sat in my bedroom closet. The helicopter's batteries were probably corroded by now. Lily's watercolors likely dried out. 3 days later, Aaron posted pictures from Vail, both kids, healthy and laughing, building snowmen. In designer ski clothes I couldn't have bought with 5 years of social security checks. We lived in the same city, 23 minutes by car. I had timed at once, driving past their subdivision just to see the house where my grandchildren were growing up. But I saw them twice a year at most, always on Clara's terms, always when convenient for her schedule. The pattern was clear as daylight. If I stopped making excuses, every invitation withdrawn, every plan suddenly changed, every maybe next time that never came. Maybe she just didn't want an old man ruining their perfect life. I closed the album, but kept Lily's school photo tucked in my notebook. Tomorrow I'd need to shop for something. Appropriate something substantial enough for Lakeview Manor's elegant atmosphere. The mall would have jewelry stores, maybe perfume counters with expensive bottles in fancy boxes. The radio played The Way You Look Tonight, and I could almost hear Martha's voice singing along from the kitchen. She had always known how to handle difficult people, how to find common ground where I only saw walls. This time will be different, I said aloud to her empty chair. She invited me personally. That has to mean something. The album slipped back onto the coffee table with a soft thud. Outside, street lights were coming on, and MRS Patterson's television glowed through her living room curtains. Normal families having normal evenings, grandparents included, without question or condition. I rinsed my empty bowl and set it carefully to dry. Then I headed upstairs to my bedroom, where my one good shirt hung in the closet next to work clothes I know Trajan needed. Tomorrow, I would buy flowers and hope. Thursday, I would dress properly and try not to disappoint the grandchildren who barely remembered my name. Thursday morning arrived with pale sunlight streaming through my curtains. I had been awake since 5:30, checking the weather forecast on my old radio. Clear, skies, perfect for the drive to Lakeview Manor. After a simple breakfast of toast and coffee, I reviewed my handwritten notes, gift ideas, scarf, jewelry, perfume. Martha always said scarves made women feel elegant. And I remembered Clara wearing blue at last year's Easter dinner. Woodfield Mall opened at 10, but I arrived early, circling the lot twice before finding a spot near the entrance. Families streamed past me, mothers pushing strollers, teenagers laughing in groups, elderly couples walking arm in arm, normal people doing normal things on a Thursday afternoon. Inside, the noise hit me immediately. Conversations echoed off the high ceilings, children cried, cash registers beeped endlessly. I wandered through Macy's first, examining handbags that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. The saleswoman watched me as I checked the price tags, looking for something special, a birthday gift for my dog. I said, "What's your price range?" I hesitated, calculating pension checks against restaurant expenses. Something nice but not too expensive. Her enthusiasm dimmed as she directed me toward cheaper accessories. Nothing felt right for someone who dined at Lakeview Manor. Upstairs, a small boutique looked more promising. Soft lighting, classical music, silk scarves displayed like artwork. A younger woman approached with a genuine smile. "This silk scarf is very elegant." "Sir," she said, holding up a piece in soft blue. The fabric slipped through her fingers like water. The price tag made me wince, but I thought about Lily's angel costume, Caleb's trophy, and those missed Christmases. I hope she like it. It's for my daughter-in-law's birthday. Would you like special wrapping? Why yes, please. I watched her fold tissue paper with care, tie ribbons into perfect bows. The finished package looked expensive, elegant, nothing like my own awkward Christmas wraps that never got opened. Back home, I laid out my navy suit on the bed, checked for stains, polished my shoes until they shone. In the bathroom mirror, I rehearsed what I'd say to the grandkids. "Hi, Caleb. How's school? Lily, you've grown so much." The words felt strange in my mouth. The gift sat on the table, silver paper and blue bow gleaming in the light. At 5:45 I grabbed my keys and wallet and headed to the garage. Tonight, I would see my grandchildren. Tonight, everything would be different. The garage door rumbled open as I backed my old Buick into the fading sunlight. The gift sat on the passenger seat, catching the streetlight reflections as I merged onto I-90. The radio played Martha's favorite, oldies station. Moon River started, and I found myself humming along, just like our wedding night. Tonight, I told myself, would be different. The suburbs faded into farmland as traffic thinned, rolling fields stretching to the horizon. Occasional farmhouses glowed with kitchen lights, families gathering for dinner, grandparents welcome at every table. It was 6:15 by the dashboard clock when I spotted a disabled car ahead. A woman stood beside the open hood, posture rigid with frustration, dark hair, simple clothing, dignity. Despite obvious distress, my first instinct was to drive on. I was running late, dressed in my best suit, carrying an expensive gift. But 40 years of fixing engines trained my eyes to recognize automotive despair, and my conscience wouldn't let me leave her stranded. I pulled in behind her car, hazard lights blinking, and walked forward with the careful pace of someone approaching a stranger. "MAA, do you need help?" Relief flooded her face. "Oh, thank goodness. I don't know what's wrong. IT just stopped. Her voice held education and calm authority, despite the grease mark on her blouse. Nice car. Well maintained. Just dead. I lifted the hood. The problem told its story. Immediately corroded battery terminals. Voltage meter flat. Alternator. Belt intact, but useless without power. Looks like your battery finally gave out, I said. Can you fix IT? I have jumper cables in the trunk. It won't take long. She watched closely as I worked, asking smart questions, curious, not helpless. I connected the cables with practiced hands, years of muscle memory guiding me. My wife used to say helping strangers was just common sense. You never know when you'll need help yourself. The engine roared to life on the second try. I let it idle, checking voltage levels until I was sure the alternator was charging. You're good to go, I said. How much do I owe you? I laughed softly. Nothing at all. Just drive safe. SHE. Smiled, relieved, but insisted. Most people just drive by. Surely I can pay you something. I closed the hood. My wife Martha always said kindness isn't a business transaction. I'm sure you'd do the same for someone else. Her smile turned, knowing. Where are you headed? My daughter-in-law's birthday party. Lakeview Manor. Something flickered in her expression, amusement, recognition. Well, I hope you have a wonderful evening, she said. Maybe we'll see each other again. I chuckled. Maybe, but Chicago's a big city, smaller than you think. She replied with a sparkle in her eye before driving off. Back in my Buick, I watched her taillights fade around the bend. Nice woman. Martha would have liked her. 6:55. Now I pressed the accelerator harder, running late for the party. But not disastrously so. My thoughts turned to the evening ahead, Caleb and Lily, waiting at the restaurant. Aaron making awkward small talk, while Clara perfected every detail of her celebration. I'd arrive with a proper gift, and genuine enthusiasm, determined to be the grandfather they deserved. The GPS announced my destination half a mile ahead. Lakeview Manor's lights appeared through the trees, warm and welcoming against the darkness. I pulled up to the valet, adjusted my tie, and grabbed the gift bag. The grand entrance doors shone like polished mirrors beneath crystal chandeliers, a fitting place to celebrate family. I checked my reflection one last time in the car's side mirror, smoothed my navy suit jacket, and gripped Clara's gift with the confidence that came from Martha's old advice. Walk in like you belong. Valet attendants in crisp uniforms directed cars into place. Mercedes, BMW, Lexus, each one worth more than my entire pension. My weathered Buick looked like an outsider among the luxury lineup, but the young man who took my keys gave me the same professional courtesy he gave the Porsche ahead of me. Inside, soft piano music drifted through air scented with expensive flowers, white tablecloths, silver cutlery, crystal glasses sparkling. Under warm light, IT was elegant, refined, exactly the kind of place Clara had promised. Then I saw the crowd, 50, maybe 60 people, mingling in the hall, dressed in business suits and cocktail dresses, champagne in hand, talking about market trends and quarterly projections. This wasn't a small family dinner. Clara stood near the bar, stunning in a black designer dress, laughing, gesturing, commanding the attention of 3 well-dressed men who hung on her every word. The successful consultant, holding court among clients. I approached slowly, gift box suddenly feeling inadequate. Sorry, late, I said, interrupting her. Had to help someone on the highway. Her smile froze. The businessmen turned to look at me, their expressions polite but curious, taking in my modest suit and weathered hands. Samuel, she said coolly. What a surprise. I held out the box with genuine warmth. Happy birthday, Clara. I hope you like IT. She took the gift like IT might stain her hands, setting IT on a side table without opening IT. Thank you, she said, already turning back to her guests. Clara, I asked, Where should I sit? I'd like to see Caleb and Lily. Her eyes measured me, weighing how much damage my presence might cause her image. Oh, Samuel, she said at last, her voice full of pity. All the seats at the main table are reserved. She gestured toward a small table in the corner where the restaurant staff sat during breaks. You'll have to sit over there. I followed her gaze. A card table, mismatched chairs, no tablecloth. The service staff looked up, surprised. The businessmen glanced away, avoiding the tension. But the damage was done. The room quieted. I looked toward the main table where Caleb and Lily sat. Too far to reach, too young to understand why their grandfather stood alone. Understanding hit me like cold water. This had been planned. The invitation, the venue, the seating, designed to put me in my place. I kept my dignity, turned away, and saw Aaron at the bar, whiskey in hand, looking every inch the successful man I'd outbid. Eddie become an RN, I said quietly. Maybe there's room at your table, just for tonight. He couldn't meet my eyes. Dad, the seating was finalized weeks ago. I'm sitting with the kitchen staff. Son, I can't even talk to my grandkids. His face turned red, not with anger, but shame. Maybe I can ask Clara too. Would you really? I asked. Would you ask your wife to treat your father with basic dignity? Silence. Piano music filled the gap between us. Finally, he said. She's worked so hard on this party. She's trying to make a good impression. I understand, I said. 2 words that held 42 years of disappointment. He looked relieved. I turned away. Next time, he called after me. Sure, son, next time. I walked to the corner table, past the guests discussing stock portfolios, past Clara laughing with her clients, past my grandchildren watching with sad, confused eyes. The waiters nodded as I sat down, offered me coffee, treated me with more respect than my own family had. From that corner, I could see everything. Clara working the room, Aaron avoiding my eyes. 57 guests, enjoying the party, while I sat with the service staff. A young waiter sat across from me and said, Sorry you ended up here, sir. Doesn't seem right. Not your fault, son, I replied. Patterns started falling into place. The missed holidays, the canceled plans, the last-minute emergencies. All of it had been leading to this night. 57 people made the guest list, but their grandfather was given a place with the help. My phone buzzed. With a text message. I assumed it was Aaron, probably sending some quick apology to ease his conscience. But the number was unfamiliar. Is everything all right at the restaurant? I hope your evening improved after our highway encounter. It was E. The woman from the roadside. She must have gotten my number when I gave it to the insurance company earlier. A kind gesture. Strange how a complete stranger showed more concern for me than my own family did. I replied carefully. Interesting evening. Thank you for asking. Her reply came instantly. Sometimes the most interesting evenings lead to unexpected opportunities. ODD. Response, I thought. But then again, everything about tonight defied normal family logic. Across the room, little Lily caught my eye and waved shyly. Clara's hand landed on her shoulder immediately. Turning her back to the adult conversation, Caleb noticed too, his young face scrunching in confusion. They wanted to come to me, to sit with their grandpa, to show me their school projects, or ask for quarters for the arcade games I'd spotted near the entrance, but they stayed trapped at the main table, held hostage by social hierarchy, while I sat in exile, close enough to see them, far enough to feel exactly where I stood in this family. 57 guests, I murmured to myself. Small family gathering. The waiter looked up from his sandwich. Sorry, sir. Just thinking out loud about truth and lies, I said. My phone buzzed again. Another message from E. The evening isn't over yet. Sometimes the best surprises come last. I stared at the screen, wondering how this stranger sounded so certain about my night. But then nothing about this evening had followed any predictable pattern. And then the restaurant doors swung open, a new arrival stepped in, and the entire room went silent. She was elegant, deep emerald dress, diamond earrings that caught the light, and a confidence that turned heads. 2 security guards stood behind her, scanning the room with professional precision. I felt my coffee cup rattle in its saucer. It was her, the woman from the highway. But this wasn't the same person I'd helped. Gone were the simple clothes and helpless demeanor. This was her true self, commanding, powerful, and impossible to ignore. "Who is that?" whispered a guest. "Must be someone important," came the hushed reply. Across the room, Clara's face turned pale, then red, then stretched into the kind of fake smile she used during tough business negotiations. She rushed to the entrance. "Ms. Howard." What an unexpected pleasure. Howard. The name meant nothing to me, but it clearly meant everything to everyone else in the room. "Ms. Howard smiled politely, but without warmth. "Good evening, Clara. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd stop by." Her eyes swept the room, like a spotlight, taking in the decorations, the guests, the expensive wine. Then she saw me, sitting at the staff table in the corner, for the first time. Her smile turned genuine. "I told you, we might see each other again," she said loud enough for the room to hear. All eyes turned to me. Clara's confusion was clear. She glanced between Ms. Howard and me, trying to figure out how the two of us knew each other. "I believe we have business to discuss," Ms. Howard said to Clara, but she was already walking straight toward me. The crowd parted like water, creating a path for her. The entire room watched as she stopped at my table. "Do you mind if I sit?" she asked. The waiter jumped to his feet, offering his chair. "Please, ma'am, take mine." "Thank you," she said, sitting Lilia Fuloy beside me. Clara arrived, breathless and visibly shaken. "Miss Howard, surely you'd prefer the main table." "Actually, I'm curious," Miss Howard interrupted calmly. "Why is Mr. Gray sitting with the restaurant staff?" Her question hit like a gavel striking a judge's bench. Clara laughed nervously. "Well, I tease. A family matter. Space limitations, last-minute reservations, family matter." Ms. Howard turned to me with genuine interest. "You're related to tonight's hostess." "She's my daughter-in-law," I said quietly. "It's her 40th birthday celebration." Ms. Howard's eyes narrowed slightly. "And you're celebrating it at the staff table?" Her simple question cut through the room like a knife. There was no defense left for Clara. No way to explain away what everyone now clearly saw. The main table had been reserved weeks ago. Clara said desperately, her voice just shy of breaking. Family seating was finalized before we decided to invite additional guests. Ms. Howard's brows arched ever so slightly. "Additional guests, yes," Clara stammered. "Extended family wasn't part of the original intimate celebration plans." "I see." Just 2 words, but they landed like a gavel, carrying judgment, quiet disappointment, and something far more dangerous. Evaluation. Around us, the restaurant hummed with low whispers. Every table seemed to sense that something far more significant than seating arrangements was happening. "Tell me about your grandchildren," Ms. Howard said smoothly, turning back to me. "I assume they're here tonight." I nodded toward the main table, where Caleb and Lily sat dressed in their Sunday best, sneaking worried glances at me, but unable to approach an invisible barrier keeping them away. "They look lovely," Ms. Howard said. "When did you last spend time with them?" The question sounded casual, but I saw the sharp calculation behind her eyes. "Christmas," I said quietly. "Before that, Easter." There always seems to be some scheduling conflict, or health excuse when family gatherings are planned. "Unfortunate pattern," she observed. Clara paled. Aaron appeared from the bar, drink in hand, no doubt sent by his wife, to control whatever crisis she sensed brewing. Dad, everything okay here? Your father was just explaining your family dynamics, Ms. Howard replied before I could speak. An interesting perspective on hospitality and respect for elders. Aaron's face flushed crimson. He understood. Perhaps we could discuss this privately. Claire's voice now carried an unmistakable note of desperation. But Ms. Howard stood, and the air in the restaurant shifted. Actually, she said, her voice carrying like a bell, I think it's time for a proper introduction. She stepped toward the center of the dining room. Conversations died instantly. 57 guests, staff, and family members turned to watch. Good evening, everyone, she said, raising her champagne glass. Her presence filled the space without effort. My name is Esther Howard. I am the founder and CEO of Howard Green Energy Corporation. A ripple of gasps moved through the room. Business cards were tucked away, networking chatter forgotten. Everyone knew the name, a corporation worth billions, a company that could make or break smaller firms with a single decision. Clara went as white as porcelain. I am also the principal director of the Howard Foundation, which manages more than $2 billion annually in charitable assets. We support organizations and people who demonstrate exceptional character. She let the words settle, like frost on a window. This evening, I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Samuel Gray on the highway outside Chicago. My car had broken down. He stopped to help a complete stranger, refused any payment for his assistance. He told me he was headed to his daughter-in-law's birthday dinner. A stunned silence blanketed the room. Imagine my surprise, Esther continued, her voice still calm, when I discovered that this man, who showed such kindness to a stranger, was seated in the corner of this restaurant, apart from his own grandchildren. Clara clutched the back of a chair, visibly swaying. In my experience, Esther said, her tone sharpening, character matters more than profit. How people treat others, when they believe no one important is watching, reveals who they really are. Every word landed like a hammer. Unfortunately, what I have witnessed tonight shows a fundamental lack of the values my foundation supports. Therefore, the pause was surgical. Howard Green Energy will no longer be pursuing business with Gray Environmental Consulting. Character and human decency are non-negotiable. Clara's empire crumbled in a single sentence. 2 years of business development, millions in projected revenue, gone. But Esther wasn't done. I am, however, pleased to announce that Mr. Samuel Gray has accepted my invitation to join the Howard Foundation Board of Directors. His integrity and dignity are exactly what we need to guide our initiatives. The restaurant erupted in gasps and murmurs. Aaron's whiskey glass slipped from his hand and shattered. From my lonely corner, I watched my son's face turn from shock to shame. My grandchildren's eyes light up with pride. Esther raised her glass one last time, to Mr. Gray. She said, smiling, proof that kindness creates opportunities in the most unexpected places, and that dignity always finds its reward. Justice, quiet, perfect, and complete. Thank you for watching.